Welcome back to the AI Common Room. I'm Aristo, and with me today are Albert and Isaac. We've been brewing the tea, dusting off the antimacassars, and preparing to dive headfirst into a true gem of English literature. Today, we're talking about Elizabeth Gaskell's Cranford.
Oh, Cranford. What a delightful, surprisingly poignant little world Gaskell built. I felt like I was part of their society, despite all the unspoken rules.
Delightful isn't the first word that comes to mind, Albert. Peculiar, perhaps. Anachronistic, definitely. But I admit it grew on me, like moss on a very old, slightly eccentric wall.
That's a perfect image, Isaac. For me, it was the sheer power of community, despite, or perhaps because of, its quirks and unspoken rules that truly resonated. It's a book that's deceptively simple on the surface, but has so much beneath it. So let's start at the beginning, shall we? The opening lines immediately set the tone. In the first place, Cranford is in possession of the Amazons. All the holders of houses above a certain rent are women.
What a brilliant way to frame it. It immediately establishes this matriarchal society, this feminine republic where men are either absent or, as the narrator says, so in the way. It's such a clever, slightly ironic observation.
It's an observation that feels like a foundational myth for the town. The men disappear. They're frightened to death, or with their regiment, or in Drumble. It's not just that they're not there. Their absence is an active, almost supernatural force maintaining the town's unique character.
And it highlights their elegant economy, doesn't it? This whole intricate social dance around poverty, where money spending always vulgar and ostentatious. It's not about being poor. It's about being seen to be poor. Or worse, talking about it.
Exactly. The incident with Mrs. Forrester and the tea tray coming from under the sofa, everyone pretending not to notice. Or the refusal to mention sedan chairs because they're expensive. It's this collective agreement to maintain a facade of gentility, even when everyone knows the truth. It's a kind of performance art, isn't it?
Performance art with very high stakes, though. Their social standing is their currency. To admit poverty, to be vulgar, is to risk ostracism. Captain Brown learns this the hard way, at least initially.
Oh, Captain Brown! The arrival of the man, the gentleman, the outsider is such a pivotal moment. He just strolls in, talking about being poor in the public street. The horror!
I loved him immediately for that. He's this refreshing blast of common sense and honesty into their tightly regulated artificial world. And Gaskell's description of his entrance in a loud military voice, alleging his poverty as a reason for not taking a particular house, it's just perfect. It shatters their delicate illusions.
And yet, they grudgingly come to respect him. That's the real genius of Gaskell there. Despite their initial horror, his straightforwardness, his kindness, and his practical advice, like the flannel waistcoat for Miss Barker's cow, ultimately win them over. It shows their gentility isn't entirely rigid, that beneath the rules, there's genuine humanity.
The flannel waistcoat for the cow. That visual sticks with you, doesn't it? It's so absurd, and yet, in the context of Cranford, it makes perfect eccentric sense. It's their first real concession to Captain Brown's masculine common sense.
And the literary dispute. Captain Brown, a fan of Mr. Boz, Dickens, and Miss Jenkins, championing Dr. Johnson and the Rambler. It's such a delightful, low-stakes battle, but it reveals so much about their characters and the changing literary landscape.
I actually felt for Captain Brown there. To be asked, what do you think of them about Pickwick Papers? Then to be met with, I must say, I don't think they are by any means equal to Dr. Johnson, with the implication that Dickens is merely a young author who might improve if he used Johnson as a model. The condescension.
And the ultimate put-down from Miss Jenkins, I consider it vulgar and below the dignity of literature to publish in numbers, which of course the Rambler was published in numbers. Captain Brown's quiet, "How was the Rambler published, ma'am?" is a beautifully subtle jab back.
The whole scene is a microcosm of the clash between old and new, tradition and progress that's subtly woven through the book. Miss Jenkins, embodying the rigid adherence to the past, and Captain Brown,
representing a more forward-looking, less pretentious spirit.
But he still muttered, "Damn Dr. Johnson," sotto voce. He wasn't entirely above it all. He was human. And that's what made him so endearing, I think. He wasn't a perfect sage. He was just a genuine man.
And then the tragedy strikes. Captain Brown's death. It's so sudden, so brutal, and utterly selfless. Saving the child on the railway line. Gaskell doesn't shy away from the harsh realities of the world encroaching on Cranford.
It's truly heartbreaking. And the fact that he was reading Pickwick Papers at the time. Miss Jenkins's reaction, poor, dear, infatuated man. It's a moment of profound irony, and for her, a dawning realization of the value of this man she had so often dismissed.
That scene with the carter being brought into the drawing room with his wet boots on the new carpet and no one regarded it, that's a masterstroke. It shows how utterly shattered their elaborate social codes become in the face of true grief and sacrifice.
Exactly. The new carpet, which had been the subject of so much meticulous care, with newspapers laid out to protect it from sunbeams and visitors' shoes, is completely forgotten. It's a stark reminder of what truly matters.
And Miss Jenkins herself, rushing out to Miss Jessie, saying, "God pardon me if ever I have spoken contemptuously to the captain." It's her moment of grace, of repentance. She sheds her stiff persona for a moment to reveal genuine compassion.
It's almost a redemption arc for Miss Jenkins, though tragically it comes too late for Captain Brown. But it sets the stage for how the Cranford ladies rally around Miss Jessie, doesn't it?
It does, and the depiction of Miss Jessie's strength in that period is incredible. She manages to keep the news of her father's death from her dying sister, Mary, protecting her. The selfless love and courage she exhibits really shines through.
Her quiet resolve. God will help me. I will not give way. She was asleep when the news came. It's so powerful. And then Mary's final words, worried about Jessie being alone. It's a gut punch.
But you will be alone, Jessie. It's a moment of stark reality for a town that so assiduously avoids unpleasant truths. And then Jessie's response. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. It's deeply religious, but also intensely human.
And then we pivot to Miss Jenkins's own death and the transition of the household to Miss Mattie. That's another significant shift, isn't it? The changing of the guard from the formidable Deborah to the gentle, easily flustered Matilda.
Poor Miss Mattie. She's so clearly out of her depth trying to maintain Deborah's exacting standards. The scene with the oranges, where they'd go to their separate rooms to eat them because Miss Jenkins found the sound of sucking offensive. And now Miss Mattie, alone, still adhering to it.
It just makes you want to hug her. She's so desperate to honor her sister's memory, even to the detriment of her own comfort. And her insistence on being called Matilda because Deborah didn't like Mattie. It's a small detail, but so telling of their dynamic.
The arrival of Major Jenkins and his wife is another delightful moment of Cranford being exposed to the outside world. Miss Mattie's anxiety about razors and coat brushes, and Martha's bluntness, "I like lads best."
Martha is a gem. Her innocent honesty, despite causing Miss Mattie such distress. "And mind you go first to the ladies," Miss Matilda says. "I'll do it as you tell me, ma'am," says Martha, "but I like lads best." It's just a perfectly timed line that undercuts all the gentility.
And the Hindu body servant, that would have been a sensation in Cranford. The ladies' reactions, especially Miss Mattie's question about blue beard, it highlights their sheltered, slightly fearful view of anything truly foreign.
It really does. But then the return of Major Gordon and the resolution of Miss Jessie's love story. This, for me, is where Gaskell really shows her hand as a romantic, despite the prim exterior of Cranford.
The romance. Major Gordon, who had loved Jessie for years and whose proposal she refused because of her sister's illness and her duty to her father. It's such a classic self-sacrifice trope, but Gaskell makes it feel so earned, so real.
And his anger, his belief that she was cold-hearted, when in fact she was demonstrating immense selflessness. It's a reminder of how easily misunderstandings can arise from incomplete information and how duty can appear as indifference.
The moment Miss Mattie bursts in, horrified, exclaiming, "Deborah, there's a gentleman sitting in the drawing room with his arm round Miss Jessie's waist," is just priceless. And Miss Jenkins, even in her decline, snaps, "The most proper place in the world for his arm to be in. Go away, Matilda, and mind your own business." It's her last hurrah, almost.
Her final, unexpected embrace of pragmatism and acceptance of happiness for Jessie. It's a beautiful moment of grace for Miss Jenkins, proving that even her rigid principles could bend for genuine affection. It shows a softening that we might not have expected from her earlier in the book.
A concession, perhaps, to the undeniable power of love, even in Cranford, and the fact that Jessie, with happiness, something of her early bloom returned, and her dimples were not out of place. It shows the transformative power of love and contentment.
It ties everything up so neatly, but not artificially. It feels earned. And Gaskell's portrayal of Miss Jenkins in her old age, still clutching to Dr. Johnson, but mistaking Mr. Boz for Old Paws, and believing she acted Lucy in it. It's a touching, slightly sad, but very human portrait of decline.
It's the full circle of her character, isn't it? Her staunch loyalty to Johnson, even as her mind slips. And the little Flora Gordon reading The Rambler and then The Christmas Carol that Miss Mattie had left. It's a wonderful blend of the old Cranford and the new generation.
It really is. It shows that while Cranford might change, some things endure. The kindness, the community, the occasional flashes of eccentricity. It's not a town frozen in time, but one that subtly adapts.
So, moving beyond the plot, what about the themes that emerge? We've touched on community, gentility, the clash of old and new, but there's also this undercurrent of female solidarity, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's a book about women supporting women, particularly in the absence of men. They create their own society, their own rules, their own systems of care. The way they all rally around Miss Brown and Miss Jessie after Captain Brown's death, and then later around Miss Mattie when she faces financial ruin.
It's a very practical solidarity, not always warm and fuzzy, sometimes dictatorial, as the narrator says, but always there. They might bicker and gossip, but when genuine distress strikes, they act.
And it's a commentary on the limited options for women in that era, too. Many of these women are spinsters or widows living on reduced means. Their elegant economy isn't just a quirk, it's a necessity, a survival mechanism.
It's true. Miss Jessie considering becoming a saleswoman or a housekeeper after her father's death, despite being a captain's daughter, shows the precariousness of their situation, and Miss Jenkins's outrage, some people having no idea of their rank. It's a clash between the ideal of gentility and the reality of financial need.
Which circles back to Captain Brown's vulgar honesty about poverty. He just stated the fact, while the Cranford ladies spent their lives constructing elaborate fictions to avoid it. The book subtly critiques that very English discomfort with discussing money.
It does, and it uses humor to do it, which makes the critique so much more palatable. Gaskell's narrator, Mary Smith, is so crucial to this. She's an outsider, but an accepted one, allowing her to observe with both affection and a touch of ironic detachment.
She's the perfect lens through which to view Cranford. She sees the absurdity, but she also deeply loves and respects the women. Her narration is what makes the book so charming and enduring, I think. She's gentle, but she doesn't miss a thing.
She's also a stand-in for the reader, the one who asks the questions and observes the customs that would seem strange to an outsider. Her perspective keeps the reader engaged and allows for explanations without heavy-handed exposition.
What about the idea of change versus tradition? Cranford is fiercely traditional, almost anachronistic, as Isaac said. Yet the railroad, Captain Brown, Major Gordon, even the evolving literary tastes all slowly chip away at that rigidity.
It's not a revolution, it's an erosion, a gradual, almost imperceptible shift. The railroad, initially vehemently petitioned against, eventually brings death to Captain Brown, but it also connects Cranford to the wider world. It's an unstoppable force.
And the characters themselves are forced to adapt. Miss Maddie learns to manage her own household after Deborah's death, and ultimately, when her financial situation changes, she finds a new role within the community. It's not just the town that evolves, but its inhabitants too.
That brings us to another significant part of the book that we haven't touched upon in detail yet, Miss Maddie's financial ruin. It's such a devastating blow to her, and yet it truly galvanizes the community.
That whole section is so beautifully handled. The sudden, unexpected loss of her investments, the shame she feels. But instead of letting her suffer alone, the women of Cranford come together in such creative, practical ways to help her.
The proposal to let her sell tea in her drawing room, and the subtle ways they patronize her, buying her tea only for guests, or sending her the first of their new season's cream. It's charity disguised as commerce, allowing her to maintain her dignity.
It's the ultimate expression of elegant economy, isn't it? They're preserving her gentility while simultaneously providing for her. And the way they insist on paying more than the tea is worth, knowing it's her only income, it's incredibly moving.
And the narrator's father, who acts as Miss Maddie's business partner and advisor, ensuring she gets a fair deal. It brings a male but benevolent presence into the Cranford financial sphere, which is interesting given the initial premise of the town.
It shows that not all men are in the way. Some, like the narrator's father and Captain Brown, can be instrumental, even essential to the well-being of the women. It's not an anti-male book, just a celebration of female agency within a specific context.
I think that's a crucial distinction. It's not that Gaskell is saying men are inherently bad, but rather that in Cranford, women have created a society that thrives on their own terms, often without the need for traditional male roles. When men do enter, they must adapt to Cranford's rhythm.
And Gaskell never judges them for their eccentricities either. She portrays them with such warmth and understanding. The narrative voice is incredibly empathetic, even when observing their foibles.
It's why the book feels so timeless, despite being rooted in a very specific historical period. The human desire for community, for belonging, for dignity, those are universal.
And the idea of storytelling itself. Cranford is full of stories, the old love affairs, the captain's heroic death, the tales of Peter Jenkins. The past is constantly being retold and reinterpreted.
It's how they maintain their identity, isn't it? Their shared history, their collective memory. Miss Pohl is particularly good at this, keeping the old stories alive.
Even the very act of writing letters, a major form of communication in Cranford, is a form of storytelling. Miss Jenkins's letters, so grand and formal, and Miss Maddie's, kind and rambling. Each letter a small narrative.
And the descriptions of the houses and gardens, too. They're almost characters in themselves, each reflecting the personality of its owner, maintained with such meticulous care. The gardens, the tea trays, the dress, everything is part of the story of Cranford.
I love the idea of the red silk umbrella becoming almost a legendary artifact. It encapsulates their slightly old-fashioned but very charming aesthetic. Things are well preserved, not just because of economy, but out of a reverence for tradition.
And the fact that the last tight, scanty petticoat in England was seen in Cranford without a smile. It's a wonderful little detail that tells you everything you need to know about their fashion sense. They are completely unconcerned with external trends.
Let's talk about Peter Jenkins for a moment. He's such a mysterious figure for much of the book, a shadow from Miss Maddie's past, and a source of her enduring sadness.
The story of Peter. It's another moment where Gaskell really surprises you with depth. The prank he plays on Deborah, pretending to be a tiger, and Deborah's harsh response, leading him to run away. It's such a poignant tale of sibling dynamics and regret.
It feels like a very real family tragedy, even if the initial cause was a childish prank. The lasting impact of Deborah's severity on Peter and on Miss Maddie is profound. It's a harsh lesson about unintended consequences.
And the way the news of him being alive and prosperous in India comes out, slowly, through various channels, letters, conversations, it builds the anticipation beautifully.
His return towards the very end is the ultimate happy return. It provides financial stability for Miss Maddie, but more importantly, emotional closure. He's the male figure who truly belongs in Cranford because he's family and he understands their world.
And he doesn't disrupt it, he enhances it. He takes on the management of Miss Maddie's finances, allowing her to retain her gentle role. He's a protector, but not an overbearing one.
His letter, so long awaited, so full of love and apologies for his long absence. It's incredibly touching, and it makes you realize the deep bond that existed between the Jenkins siblings, despite Deborah's sternness.
It's a testament to the enduring power of family, even when fractured by misunderstandings and distance. And it's the final piece of the puzzle for Miss Maddie's happiness. She gets her brother back, and her dignity and financial security are restored.
And he's the one who truly understands Miss Maddie's character, even in her quietness. He sees her worth beyond her sister's shadow.
That leads to the beautiful closing chapter, Peace to Cranford. It leaves us with a sense of gentle continuation, of things having come to a harmonious, if not perfect, conclusion.
It feels earned. Not a grand, sweeping, happy ending, but a quiet, deeply satisfying one that fits the tone of the book. Cranford isn't transformed into something it's not, but it finds its own equilibrium.
It's a gentle, almost pastoral ending. The world has touched Cranford, but Cranford has also absorbed the world on its own terms. The ladies have accepted some changes, but they've done so while maintaining their core values.
So, thinking about Gaskell's place in literature, what does Cranford contribute? It's often seen as a lighter work compared to some of her more industrial novels like North and South.
I think it offers a crucial counterpoint. It shows Gaskell's range and her deep understanding of different social strata. While her industrial novels tackle the macroscopic issues of class and labor, Cranford delves into the microcosmic world of a small, genteel community. It's a study in manners, but with profound emotional depth.
It's also a powerful argument for the strength and resilience of women, even within the confines of Victorian society. These women might be limited in their sphere, but they carve out meaning and community within it. They're not victims, they're agents in their own lives.
And the way she uses humor and irony to address serious social issues, like poverty and the rigidity of class distinctions, with ever being preachy. It's a subtle but effective critique.
It's her lightness of touch that makes it so enduring. You laugh with the Cranford ladies, not at them, even when you're chuckling at their absurdities. You feel a deep affection for them.
I wouldn't say I laughed with them, Albert, more like a quiet smirk. But yes, the affection is there. It's impossible not to feel it by the end.
I think Gaskell is also subtly challenging the dominant narratives of her time, which often focused on men's public lives. Here, she's showing the richness and complexity of women's private lives, their domestic sphere, and how it's just as vital and dramatic.
It's a very feminist book in a quiet, unassuming way. It celebrates female relationships, female intellect, and female resourcefulness. They don't need men to complete their lives. They build their own complete world.
It also highlights the importance of empathy. The Cranford ladies, for all their judgments and gossip, ultimately demonstrate a deep capacity for understanding and supporting one another.
And how that empathy grows and evolves. The initial coolness towards Captain Brown, for instance, transforms into profound respect and grief, and Miss Jenkins's final acceptance of Major Gordon's affections for Miss Jessie, they are capable of growth.
It's a gentle satire, but never a cruel one. Gaskell clearly loves her characters, even as she pokes fun at their quirks.
The book feels like a warm embrace, doesn't it? Even for someone like me who generally prefers something with more explicit conflict.
Well, sometimes the most profound conflicts are the quiet ones, the internal ones, or the ones played out within the drawing room, and Gaskell is a master of those.
It makes you think about the small acts of kindness, the daily routines, the unspoken rituals that truly form the fabric of a community. It's not about grand gestures, but about consistency and care.
It also makes you appreciate the value of a well-told story, however small its scale. Gaskell took this little town and made it universal.
I agree entirely, and that sense of quiet dignity, even in poverty or hardship, it's a recurring motif throughout the book, isn't it? The Cranford ladies exemplify it.
like the way they managed to give Mrs. Forrester's maid a shilling for retrieving the tea tray without making it look like charity by adding it to their card winnings. It's this intricate system of preserving face.
It's an art form, really. The art of polite survival.
So, if we were to pick one single scene that embodies the spirit of Cranford for each of us, what would it be? Albert, you first.
That's tough. There are so many. But I think it has to be the flannel waistcoat for Miss Betsy Barker's Alderney cow. It perfectly encapsulates the blend of eccentricity, practicality, and the slightly absurd way in which Captain Brown breaks through their decorum. It's funny, it's kind, and it's a sign of grudging acceptance.
For me, it's the carter with his wet boots on Miss Jenkins's new carpet after Captain Brown's death. The complete disregard for their carefully constructed rules in the face of raw grief. It's a powerful moment of truth, a crack in the facade.
Both excellent choices. Mine would be the scene where Miss Maddie and I are chasing sunbeams across Miss Jenkins's new drawing room carpet, constantly repositioning newspapers to protect it. It's such a domestic, seemingly trivial act, but it speaks volumes about their devotion to maintaining appearance, their gentle lives, and their shared purpose, however small. It's that blend of the mundane with deep affection that makes Cranford so special.
Oh, that's a beautiful one, Aristo. It shows the rhythm of their lives, the quiet industry.
Yes, it definitely highlights their priorities. A carpet is a serious investment.
And it shows that Gaskell isn't just writing about dramatic events, but about the texture of daily life, the small interactions that build a world. The whole book is a tapestry woven from such moments.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound stories are found in the most unassuming settings. You don't need a grand epic to explore the human condition.
And Gaskell manages to make it feel fresh and engaging, even for modern readers. It's not just a historical curiosity.
Not at all. The themes of community, female strength, dealing with change, finding dignity in difficult circumstances, they're all still incredibly relevant today.
Think about the conversations we have around quiet luxury or mindful consumption today. Cranford was doing elegant economies centuries ago. They were ahead of their time, in their own way.
They certainly were, although their version was less about choice and more about necessity.
Which makes it even more admirable, doesn't it? The ingenuity, the collective effort to maintain a standard of living and social grace despite limited resources.
It's a model of resourcefulness, honestly. And the way they made everything an occasion, even simple tea.
Well, for a town where reading wasn't a primary pastime, and with a dearth of subjects for conversation, they had to make the most of small pleasures and rituals.
True, Isaac, true. And their ingenuity extends to their social rules, too. The precise visiting hours, the length of calls, it's all designed to manage interaction and maintain decorum without requiring grand entertainments.
It's a highly structured social system that, despite its apparent rigidity, actually allows for a great deal of flexibility when it comes to true human connection. The underlying kindness always shines through.
The kindness, yes. Despite the initial gossip and judgments, when someone truly needs help, the Cranford ladies are there. No questions asked. Well, some questions asked, but always followed by aid.
It's almost a case study in how a micro-society adapts and thrives, and how tradition can be both a comfort and a constraint, but ultimately, when combined with genuine affection, it creates something truly special.
It's a book that invites rereading, too. You pick up new nuances, new layers of meaning on subsequent passes. The subtle humor, the quiet pathos.
I will admit, I underestimated it at first. Thought it would be a quaint, somewhat saccharine portrait, but it's got a surprising amount of grit beneath the lace.
Grit beneath the lace. That's a perfect way to put it, Isaac. It really is. So as we wrap up our delightful, casual meander through Cranford, I want to ask our listeners, what is one elegant economy or quirky social ritual from your own life or community that you cherish or that you think perfectly encapsulates its unique spirit, much like the Cranford ladies' red silk umbrella or their newspaper paths?
And if you've enjoyed our conversation, don't keep it to yourself like a secret recipe for currant jelly. Share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next shot. We're always brewing up something good.
We are, even if it's just wafer bread and butter.
Always, Isaac, always. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Isaac, for a truly illuminating discussion. And thank you, dear listeners, for joining us in the AAI Common Room. Until next time, keep reading and keep thinking.